what the public doesn't understand is that the vast majority of the people that are being incarcerated are going to come back and be living near them and among them. And in a purely logical, rational world, you want these people to come out with some skill set to not reoffend. So if they haven't gone to high school, if they haven't had the psychological training, if they haven't had the resources that they need to kick addictions, they're going to be faced with the exact same problems. And the public is just not aware of that. Women's prisons are every bit as overcrowded as male prisons are. In some cases, they are significantly more overcrowded because the conviction and incarceration rate for women has jumped in really gigantic proportions in the past few years. So in the last 3 decades, there's been a 700% increase in the incarceration rates for women. The prison system in our country is broken for all sorts of reasons. I think the primary reason is that we are, in the United States of America, quick to incarcerate. We are quicker than other nations. So in the United States, we have 5% of the world's population living in our country. We have well over 20% of the world's incarcerated people living in our country. We are quick in this country to think that we give people second chances and second opportunities. But the challenges that a convicted person faces when they walk out the door of a prison are way beyond the fact that they have a criminal record and difficulty in getting a job. They have difficulty in reuniting with their children. They have difficulty in finding housing. They have difficulty in applying for education grants. They can never vote again. It goes on and on and on. And the American public ought to be asking itself, are we in fact the land of second chances? It's very easy for politicians, for prosecutors, for government officials to stand up and say, we will not tolerate crime in our neighborhood. People love that. They rally to it. Much more difficult to stand up and say, we're going to increase education funding for incarcerated people. We're going to increase services for incarcerated people. Because the antithesis of that is that, you know, any candidate can run a political campaign saying, oh, look, we're spending your taxpayer dollars educating offenders. How do you feel about that? Well, if you really knew what the consequence of not educating those offenders would be, you might feel better. And that is really sort of my challenge as a researcher and a writer, is to try to figure out a way to get that message in the hands of the public.